So let's see. Oh my God. Hello, my fellow comic nerds. They finally came back. So after 30 years of being stored away, I finally got my childhood comics back. The vast majority of these I bought directly off the rack when they were first published. Some of them I got in the mail. There's 35 of them in here. Now I had over 1,000 comics from my childhood boxed away. I tried to pick the ones that had a little bit of value or were just exceptionally nice or had some kind of sentimental value to me. Some of these are pretty big books though. We'll try to do those last. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open these boxes, I'm going to get them out in a nice stack, try to hide the labels and not look at the grades. I don't really care what the grades are. I think they're mostly higher grade, but I honestly, 11 months ago, I had no idea what I was doing when it came to grading. I actually used an app on my phone. So let's just see what happens. I'm going to get them unboxed and we'll reveal them together. Alright, so that took longer than I thought it would. I did figure out a pretty good system for getting the books out of the box without seeing the grades. So let's just go ahead and get started. I mean, most of these are not in any particular order. First off, we have Punisher number 2. This is the 1987 version. This looked like an 8.5 to me when I took it out, and I thought it could get as high as a 9.6. Certainly 9.0 or something like that. So let's just go ahead and take a look. 9.4. I thought 9.6 might have been possible, and I'm not unhappy with a 9.4. This isn't a big book or anything. It's not a key. I just think it's a cool cover, and I might give it to my brother or something like that. Or it looked pretty good on the wall. I mean, that's a pretty cool cover for not being a key. And yeah, what we'll do is we'll go through all these books, and then we'll kind of just switch to the computer, and I'll just do like a value analysis on that. And so I had these pressed, and I'm just looking at it here to see. There's a pretty good tick still on it right there. I don't know if that was just so bad they couldn't get it out. I'm a little disappointed to see that big tick still on there. It doesn't break color, but it's definitely on there. But other than that, the book looks great. I don't know, if this was a bigger book, I might think about resubmitting it, because I don't know, that tick right here looks like that can be fixed. And there's a couple more down here that don't break color. Yeah, there's some ticks still on this book. So that's a little bit disappointing to see, you know. I thought that pressing a book, you know, they could get those ticks out. So yeah, so let's go ahead and pull the next one out here. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 10. Now, I don't think this is any kind of key or anything. It just was a nice looking book. And but yeah, all of these books were bought. I'll let you know otherwise, but this one was bought off the stand the month it came out from my LCS. So I expected this one to be... This one was pretty rough. It was a 7... I thought it was maybe a 7.0, but I thought after press and clean, and not that there was any soiling that I could see, I thought it could maybe achieve a 9.2. So let's see. 9.4. That's actually higher than I thought it could get, so yeah. So I'm a little one grade lower on one and one higher on the other, but this book looks good. So the next one, Amazing Spider-Man. My first Amazing Spider-Man. I have a lot of those probably to do because that was always my favorite comic, of course. This is 280. It's just a pretty cool looking cover. I thought it could get potentially a higher grade, so maybe that's why I submitted. I don't think it's a key or anything, but this is 280. And so I thought it was an 8.5 when I had it in my collection, because my comics over time, I did a video on this, maybe I'll link to it, where my books had been kind of turned into a little banana in a lot of boxes, and I was pretty disappointed with the way I'd store them as a kid. So this is Amazing Spider-Man 280. I thought it had an outside chance of getting a 9.6. So 9.2, 9.4, maybe 9.6. We got the 9.6, so man, this was a banana. So they did a good job fixing this one up for sure. Now, I haven't decided. Some of these I might keep, some of these I might sell. I mean, I'm kind of partial to my childhood books, so I don't know yet. But we'll certainly consider. I'd like to buy some books. In order to buy them, I need to sell a few. So we'll think about that. But we'll have another video on that. So this is Incredible Hulk number 300. This is a pretty cool cover. It's got the Hulk. It's got the flames down here with some orange. It's got Spider-Man. once again, this one is in rough shape. I thought it was a 6.5. I ran it through that grading tool, and it came up with a 6.5, and it was... I wish I had a good before and after photo on these. I didn't think to do that. I didn't have this channel back when I did this. I didn't start this channel though 6 months after submitting this. This was 11 months ago I sent this in. So I thought it may be as high as a 9.6 on this. But that might be a little challenging on this book. So we'll just see here. 9.6. I'm actually pretty dang happy with the grades so far. I'm hitting exactly what I expected. And I am not... I found out when I started collecting again that I am not good at grading books. I was using that app though to help me out. So maybe that's... But I was guessing though. I mean, I was guessing what it would look like after a press. I had no clue. But yeah, that first book was a little questionable on some ticks, but these last four, three or whatever. Now there's some heavy Newton rings on this one. It's a good looking book there though. A little bit of scratch on the case here. Now I did a video on removing scuffs and scratches from cases. I'll link that as well. With Polywatch, stuff actually worked really well on a couple of my slabs that I had. Okay, so the next two we're going to have are the Amazing Spider-Man wedding issues. So I've got the first one here is the Peter Parker version. This one, once again, this was my poor storage sitting around for 30 years. I didn't change my bags out over those 30 years either. So, but I will say that Poly, while they say it's like a 6 to 10 year thing or whatever, I mean, it kept these books, some of these books, 9.6s for 30 something years, right? So, yeah. So I thought this was a 6.0. This one was torn up pretty good. And I thought maybe it could get up to a 9.4. But once again, big guess. So let's see. Okay, we got an 8.5 on this one. And doesn't surprise me that we would get an 8.5. We're going from a 6.0 to an 8.5. You gotta be happy with that. I'm sure there's some major issue that I didn't see here. We'll have to look over. I'll look all of these over a little bit closer once we're done to see maybe we think we can get a grade bump. Oh, there's some major creasing right here at the top. That should be pressable, you would think, right? And down here as well. Major crinkles. I don't know if that shows up in the light, but that's a little disappointing for sure. What in the heck are all these major crinkles on this? Surely that this wasn't done by CGC. Okay, that's another one I'll have to look at. But yeah, it makes sense to get an 8.5, but that looks like it would press and you get higher than an 8.5. So the next one I have is Amazing Spider-Man 21 again. And this is the newsstand copy Spider-Man issue. I thought this one could get, it was a 7.0 I thought, but really, you know, I thought a lot of the stuff was pressable on it. So I thought we could maybe get up to a 9.6 on this one. And this is the more valuable of the two. I think in a 9.6 it would be like an $85 book, which is not like a super valuable book, right? And so yeah, we thought maybe new 9.6. So we got a 9.4, which is in the vicinity. And we'll look here, see if there's anything obvious. Yep, we'll look closer another time. It looks pretty good though. That looks like a solid book. So you'll notice we don't have any 9.8s yet. I think we're doing pretty good considering I was a 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old kid. I didn't know what the heck I was doing storing these books. I bagged and boarded, but I also read all these books probably multiple times. So to be able to get in the high 9s, mid 9s, and high 9s, I'm pretty happy with that. I definitely didn't submit these books just to get super high grades. I got them because they're kind of cool. Some of them I did. So yeah, the next one is Web of Spider-Man 21. And this cover doesn't get much love, but you have the original suit and the black suit together. Now one of these isn't actually Spider-Man. This is somebody pretending to be Spider-Man, I believe. I forget my history on comics here, but I'm pretty sure this is the real Spider-Man and this is the guy pretending to be him. And but yeah, to have the two suits on the same cover, I always thought that comic should get some more love. And I just think it's a great cover. Web of Spider-Man 21, no key, nothing like that. But this was, once again, I thought it was like a 7.0 book. And I thought maybe we could get it up to a 9.6. So we'll take a look. Okay, 8.5. I mean, I'm fine with that. I mean, going from a 7 to an 8.5, once again, that's pretty good. But let's just see if there's anything obvious on it. Yeah, this corner's creased, and I think there's some color break potentially there. I don't know, maybe not. I'll have to look closer at it later. Yeah, but 8.5, that's not bad. I actually thought, I mean, that's a pretty big disparity, 8.5 to 9.6. I don't know about that corner right there. That looks, I don't know if there's color break there. So Web of Spider-Man number 1, I thought it was a 9.2 before press. So, you know, I thought maybe you could get up to a 9.6, somewhere in that vicinity. So we'll just go ahead and take a look. 9.6. We don't have a 9.8 yet. But I wasn't expecting to get a whole bunch of 9.8s. Okay, here's the next batch. We'll give DC some love here with Flash number 1 from 1987. It's just a cool cover. I always like these yellow covers, as you probably know if you've watched any of my past videos. And so this one here, I thought it was a 9.0, but I thought everything on it looked pretty pressable. So I was hoping for actually maybe a chance at a 9.8 on this one. So yeah, let's just see. Did we have a chance at a 9.8? We got the 9.6. So yeah, this book looked pretty perfect. There are some ticks on there that I'm pretty sure are pressable. Of course, this is my first time ever having it done, so I really don't know. I really don't know why there would be ticks on this after a press. Okay, so we'll just roll with it. All right. So the next one we have is Thor number 390. I mean, it's just a cool cover, right? There's nothing really else to say about this one. I mean, that's kind of why I was never a Thor collector. Probably saw this one on the stand and just had to get it. This is from 1988. This is getting on toward the end of my collecting. So this is Thor 390. I thought it was a 9.0, but I thought we could potentially press it into a 9.8. So let's take a look. Another 9.6. We're on a roll with a 9.6. I mean, I like 9.6s. Those are nice books. But it would be nice to eventually get a 9.8 on something. But yeah, going from a 9.0 to a 9.6. Can't argue with that, right? So next we have another DC. Doom Patrol 7. Now, I don't think this is a key, but I think this cover is pretty popular. I don't think it's like a huge number of people are getting this slab, but look at it. I mean, that's pretty cool. I was never a big DC fan, but whenever I saw a cover that I just really loved, I would buy it. And so that's a lot of these books you're seeing here are just, I like the cover, so I bought them, right? This one actually could be a $200 book at a 9.8. So this one was a 9.2. I thought it had a chance of getting 9.8 after a press. We'll see. 9.8. Our first one. It's not a huge book, but it is a 9.8. My first one ever, as from my childhood. I bought this one on the stand, and it pressed into a 9.8. That is pretty cool. It's a good looking book. You know what? It doesn't look perfect. I see a couple little ticks there. There's one right here. This is where the bend was, when these books were like a banana in my box. And they're still there. There's still ticks there. Maybe it was so extreme they wouldn't even press out, or maybe they pressed them and they just reappeared. Next one I have is X Factor number 24. Now this says origin and first appearance of Archangel, and origin of Apocalypse, Horseman, but you know, pretty cool cover though, I like it. So I expected maybe to be able to get as high as a 9.6. I think it was a 9.0 before I sent it off. So we did get our 9.6. That's what we expected, or we're hoping for anyway. So definitely happy about that. And the next one, we have a Punisher, number 4 of the second series, or the first series after the limited series from 1987. And I once again bought this at the store, comic book shop. So I thought this looked like a 9.4 before Presser touched it. And I thought maybe it could get a 9.8. Outside chance, maybe. I gotta note outside chance. So Possible 9.6, maybe a 9.8. So we'll take a look. 9.6, okay. We're happy with a 9.6. But once again, I see ticks on there that are not color breaking. So yeah. Well, maybe my understanding of pressing just isn't that good. Maybe they can't get non-color breaking spine ticks out. I mean, somebody let me know. I mean, is that something they just can't get out? So yeah. So the next one is one of my childhood favorites. I was really into Transformers as a kid, maybe 8, 9, 10 years old. And I actually have this book that I found a good price on. And so I just always had a soft spot for this particular cover. It's not a huge key. It does have the first Constructicons in this, and I think it's the first Devastator. I think this one had a potential of getting a 9.6. Thought it was a 9.0 though before press. So did we have a chance of getting our 9.6? Got a 9.4. I already have a 9.6 of this book, but this is my childhood copy. So, you know, probably hang on to this one. But yeah, that's a nice book. 9.4 is certainly a good high-grade book. Now we're getting into some more Punisher here. Actually, just one more Punisher in this batch, I think. Punisher Limited Series number 2. This is a very, I mean, this series is pretty sought after. I mean, people like this series. So I thought maybe this one actually had an outside chance of getting a 9.8. But I thought it was a 7.5. It was just one of these poor storage jobs by me. So let's see what we got. Got a 9.4 on it. That's a little disappointing, you know, based on the thought process that I maybe could get a 9.8 on this book. But you know what? My grading was so bad a year ago compared to what I've learned since. It's hard to even put myself in my own shoes from back then. So I take every hopeful grade here, or what I assessed it as, is with a total grain of salt. I really just don't know what I'm doing. Did not know what I'm doing. I still don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm hopefully getting better at it. So the next one is a really cool book. Now this one is a key. This is a first appearance of, I believe, yeah, it's right there, Mr. Sinister. And people love this cover. I think it's a key for the cover and because it is a first appearance of Mr. Sinister. But this is, people do go after this book. And I was an X-Men collector. I got a pretty big run of X-Men. So this is just one that just turned out to end up being a key. And, you know, I thought it could be higher grade. This one was in rough shape. This one I remember. There were a few books that somehow found their way out of my comic book boxes and into these obscure, weird boxes that I found during the move. And I found it like after I was about to send the submission, I found this when I threw it in there. So this one I thought could get as high as a 9.4, but it was really rough shape. And being in that box, it was like, it's hard to even describe. It was crinkled. So if they could CPR this one up to a 9.4, I'll be extremely happy. We actually got a 9.6 on this book. Man, I remember this book coming out of that box, so they went above and beyond on this one. And I still see a couple ticks, but I think they're color breaking right there. Got a couple color breaking ticks, so I don't think 9.8 could happen on this book. I am extremely happy to have a 9.6 on this book. Yeah, so that one's, we had a couple fails in here so far, but we've had a couple good, positive, pleasant surprises as well. So let's move on. That's it for this stack. So we're about halfway through, I believe, now. So let's get on to a few bigger books, I believe, now. These are some good ones. Star Wars number 1. This one I picked up out of a bin. I was actually 3 years old, and I went to this the first Star Wars movie. It was the first movie I'd ever gone to, and it was at the drive-in theater. I don't remember it really. Obviously, I was 3 or 4 years old, but, you know, when I saw this in that bin, it's a lower grade copy, I think. Not really hoping, I just want it because look at that. I mean, it's Star Wars number 1. You gotta have that, right, if you're a Star Wars fan. So yeah, we got Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, all that good stuff. But this book is from 1977. And it's just basically the New Hope, you know, the movie adaptation of it. And so I thought it was a 4.5 when I got it. I mean, there's some heavy looking ticks here. It's, you know, it's been well read. It was in a bin. I think I I paid less than $5, I'm sure. It's probably a $2 book back then, would be my guess. And so I thought maybe it had a potential for possibly a 6.5, but I don't care if it's a 2. I like this book, so I'm not really worried about it. So we got a 6.0. That's actually pretty good. I mean, that's almost a 6.5. So yeah, I think this, now that I've learned a little bit more about grading books, I'm looking at this thing. I'm actually really happy with a 6.0 on this book. This book is, see if I can get a good angle on that spine right there. You can see that spine's beat up. Beat up pretty good. It's got some color break here, color break here. This is creased, color breaking, blunted corners. This looks like a 5.0. But I'll take it. I mean, I'll take a 6.0. Looks like a 5.0. I mean, but it presents good. I mean, if you just look at it, it's a well-presenting book. So yeah, we'll take that. Okay. One of my favorite runs in comics ever was this run right here with Kraven. This might be my favorite run in comics. My favorite, squeaky up there again. So we got Amazing Spider-Man 294. And this is part 5, I believe. I think this is the death of Kraven, if I'm not mistaken. Well, here it is. I guess I could just read the slabs. Death of Kraven the Hunter, Berman appearance. So this is a pretty big book. Let me see here if I put anything down on this one. Not a huge book, but I mean, Death of Kraven, it could become a bigger book. So I thought this maybe could become a 9.8 after a press. I thought it was a 9.0 before press though. So I'd be happy with anything in the 9s, doesn't really matter. I'm not really hoping for a 9.8 or anything. You did get a 9.6, so that's a really solid book. 9.6. I'm happy with anything. 9.4. Yeah, I'm looking at this. It's got a spine tick here that breaks color, and it's still ticked. It's not. You didn't get it out. And there's another tick here. There's a bunch of ticks still in this book. This looks like a 9.4 to me, or maybe even a 9.2. Just glancing at it, based on what I know now. So I'm actually really happy with that 9.6. So next one, so I'm gonna have a few of these Amazing Spider-Mans in a row, fair warning. This is 3 issues later. This is the last book before McFarlane started doing the art, I believe. This is 297. It's got a Dr. Octopus. The purple colors are really cool. So this, I thought it was a 9.0 like the last one. I thought it possibly could get a 9.8. That's a solid looking book there. That has a chance. So let's take a look. 9.8. That, I'm very happy about that 9.8. It's not a high value dollar, once again, but that is a pretty book. It might be hard to get a 9.8 in this book. I'm not sure. I'll have to check the census. It's got the dark colors on the back. It's got this deep dark purple. This has like the sharpest corners you'll ever see on a book. I mean, that is ridiculously sharp, that top one right there. But yeah, this is a beautiful book. Very nice. Okay, was that our second or third 9.8? You'd think I would know, being my first time doing this. So, Spider-Man 298, first McFarlane on Amazing Spider-Man. And Eddie Brock, first cameo in this. I love this book. In fact, I already have a copy. I have a 9.4 of this book already on my wall over here. That's the one you're looking at right here. So I thought this could potentially get a 9.6. So but it was about a 9.0. But this has the white. It should, a lot of that should be clean. Be able to clean that up. The corners are really sharp on this book. You know, I should start looking at these right before just to see what our chances are. There's some ticks still on that book that were not pressed out. This looks like a 9.6 or a 9.4. Yeah, there's some non-color breaking ticks all up and down this back of the spine. I'm a little disappointed. This could be a 9.2 or 4 here. Well, let's just take a look. 9.4. That's my second 9.4, but this is my childhood copy. So if I ended up only keeping one of these, it would obviously be this one. And then, of course, we have the next one in the series, the run there. And these, I believe, were delivered to my house. Yeah. I had the subscription. So to get a 9.4 on a 30-year-old book, or more than that, is just, that's pretty ridiculous to have it delivered to your house and still get a 9.4, in my opinion. And the next few will have been delivered to my house. Any of these Amazing Spider-Man copies. Here we have number 299. This is the next one. And this is the first cameo of Venom right here. A lot of people think this is the first appearance of Venom. So this one could go up in value quite a bit. I would recommend picking up a copy or a few of these if you could. So I do have a copy of this one somewhere, I thought. Maybe I don't, actually. No, I don't have a copy of this one. Yeah, I think I just got 298, so I don't think I have a slab copy is what I'm saying. So I did pick up another copy of this, though, that I think has already been submitted. So anyway, this one is my childhood copy delivered to my house. I thought this was an 8.0. So I mean, obviously delivered in that little, I don't know if any of you that are watching this that had the comics delivered in the 80s, they came in like almost a brown paper bag type material. And it was just a sleeve that the comic slid down in, no protection, nothing like that. So I thought maybe this could press up to a 9.4 maybe? Yeah, I thought maybe we had an outside chance of a 9.4. 9.2 or 4 is probably what this book's going to be. 9.4. Very happy with that. That's exactly what I expected. So the next one is, I have a soft spot for this cover. I like this. When this came in the mail, actually when 300 came in the mail and then this one. Sadly, I sold 300. My original childhood copy back in 2008 or 9. Yeah, we needed some money at the time. We had babies to feed. So I sold quite a few of my comics, but I'll get back to that here in a little bit because there's actually a happy ending of that. So this is 301. This one I kept. And I thought this one could potentially get up to a 9.6. I thought it was actually, I did a good job of protecting this one over the years. It was a 9.0, I thought, before press. But I think 9.6 is probably our cap on this book. I would like to have anything 9.246, I don't really care. It's my childhood book. This one will be in my will, I'm sure. I'm not getting rid of this one. Got the 9.4. And yeah, I mean, it's a step below what I'd hoped for. But, you know, once again, I didn't know anything about grading comics a year ago. I don't know, this is a good looking book. Like, these corners are dinged a little bit, top and bottom over here. That one's pretty good, that one's good. There's some ticks still in this book. A couple break color a little bit. So yeah, this is probably a 9.4 as it is. But certainly not upset with a 9.4. It actually says off-white to white pages. I have been noticing that. This one got off-white to white. But the other two from the same exact collection, I mean next to each other for 30 years, got white. I don't know how this one got off-white pages because I remember all of my books. I would have documented it here if I thought off-white was possible. For some reason that one got off-white. Okay. I mean, it's probably just, maybe it was. Okay, so now we're going to get to the last batch. And some of these are, and the book should be bigger in the next batch. I think I have maybe only about 10 left here. All right, this first one is mainly for aesthetics. It's just a Wolverine cover, and always loved Wolverine. So that one is just a cool cover. I mean, you know, it's got all the Marvel heroes here around the edge, and it's got, of course, a beat-up Wolverine right here in the middle. You know, I don't think this is a very big book, though. It's his first appearance of Marauders, I think. Just because of the Wolverine, it's a high-demand book because of that. I thought this one had an outside chance of a 9.8, so we'll see. 9.6. Okay. I was hoping for that 9.8 on this one, but, you know, 9.6 is still a very, very nice book, considering I bought it off the stand. So the next one is one of my probably top 50 covers of all time, maybe top 100 for sure, that I like. This black here is extremely hard probably to get a high grade in. So buying this off the rack, newsstand. But yeah, so this is from '86, and you know, obviously this is a great cover. People love this cover. But a newsstand 9.246 would be pretty amazing on this book. So I got the 9.4, and yeah, being this is a black cover, this has some super sharp corners on it though. This is a nice looking book. It has those same ticks here. One of them has a slight color break, 2 with a slight color break, 3 with a slight color break. So yeah, I could see this getting a 9.4, which is fine. I could see it getting a 9.6, but to have a 9.4 of the newsstand copy of this, I'm pretty happy with that. That's a nice cover. And so now we're getting to a book. This book was pretty big when I submitted it, but it has cooled off significantly since, I think. Not 100% sure on that. But I picked up 2 copies of this when I was a kid, and I already sold one of them raw for $100 or something like that. And the reason I did is because it had some damage on it. It had like a little ding on top. There were some ticks. This one though looked pretty good. So this one I thought had an outside chance of a 9.8. But 9.46 would be pretty cool in this book. It used to be an $800 book and a 9.8. I'm not sure what it is now. We'll check that. But I would be happy with anything high grade in this book. 9.6. So close. So close. Wow. I still am happy with a 9.6 in that book. That book looks good. The hair in the case right there, I think. Or is that maybe that could be a hairline scratch on the cover? No, there's a hair in this case. That's pretty ugly. Luckily it's on the back. I don't know, man. That book looks really, really good. That is an insanely good looking book right there. Can you see anything on it? I can't see anything on this book. Maybe a bindery thing on top? There is a tick here in the middle as per normal, but that is not brick color, or does it? Maybe the tiniest little color break right there probably held us back. But it's definitely still ticked. But I'm happy with a 9.6. I mean, it's a good cover, but it's not like my favorite of all time. I do like the black, but I might sell that one. I'm not sure. But the next one is I actually like this color cover better. I just like the red. It's pretty damn awesome. I mean, kind of a blood red cover, right? So this is my Wolverine number 2. It's the follow-up to the next one. It's not like a big, key or anything. It did have a cool pinup on the back cover. I think we'll look at that here in a second. So I thought this could potentially get a 9.8, but I probably will keep this one. I mean, that looks awesome. So let's see what we got. 5.0. I'm glad this isn't one of my high dollar books here. There's a slight little crease on the bottom. I don't know, I did take a picture of this book, so I'm going to check for that crease. There's a crease here on this corner, so it's definitely not a 9.8. I don't know what I was smoking when There's a few little tiny ticks that don't break color on the spine. I'm wondering, why is this a 5.0? Is that just a mistake? I'm going to check the grader's notes. I mean, it looks like a 9.46 to me right now, just looking. And actually, it can't get a 9.6 with that. It's probably a 9.2. But I still like the look of it. I don't know, 5.0. I might just leave that up for comedy's sake. A perfect looking 9. It looks like a 9.8 from here. This is a 5.0. We'll have to investigate that. That's actually pretty funny. So we got a Amazing Spider-Man. I think this is 175. It's kind of covered up there. And the reason I bought this as a kid is it was in a bin, and it had Punisher on the cover. I could never afford Punisher 120. I'm sorry, Amazing Spider-Man 129. And it was only an $80 book back then or something like that. I don't remember. It was not a high dollar book. It was, I'll have to look it up, what it would have been in like 1985, 6 or 7. But, as a consolation, I did pick up some Punisher other appearances. I don't know, this might be 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 10th, I don't even know appearance, whatever. But anyways, it's a very nice copy, 175. And so I thought it could get possibly 9.6 on this book, which for a 1977 book, anything 9.0 or higher, I'll take it, right? And so for me to be able to keep this book, get it out of a bin in this good a shape, and then still have it be high grade 30-something years later, that's pretty cool. So I got a 9.6 on it. That is a sweet looking book though. It's got a little ding on that corner. Still got these ticks here. That one breaks color. If I had just known a little bit more about storage back then, I could have had all these be 9.8s or a good number of them. But just the fact that they were like that for all those years, I mean, that's just, it's kind of frustrating. But you know what? The fact that I'm getting some 9.6s, I think I'll take that. You know, I'll take it. This one here is Amazing Spider-Man 265. And this is, you know what, I just did it again. First appearance of Silver Sable, but let's look at the slab. First appearance of Silver Sable, okay. With the Black Fox appearance. Now I wish the Silver Sable had been on this cover, but she was not. But yeah, it's a direct copy. I got this in my, you know, comic book shop locally there. And, you know, this is one of the earlier Amazing Spider-Man that I got. Because I think my run that I was collecting was like 260 to 320 or something like that. So yeah, so I got this one here in what I think could be... Now this was, I thought, a 9.0 when I graded it. But I thought it had an outside chance of a 9.8. And to get the first Silver Sable in a 9.8 would be pretty amazing. I'm not keeping my hopes up though. I'll be happy with a 9.4 better. 9.6. It's not a 9.8, but it is a 9.6 of the first appearance of Silver Sable. So this could be, you know, a couple $100 book. We'll have to look at that. But that is a good looking 9.6. It's a little bit crooked in the... Yeah, it's definitely crooked in there. It's like that way. Alright, so now we're down to the last three. And these are probably my three favorite books in this entire thing. Yeah, these are my three favorite childhood books, probably, that I held on to. And they're also probably the three most valuable that I got as a kid. Maybe not. Maybe there's more valuable ones. I'm not sure. But this first one here is definitely probably my favorite. It's probably a tie with the one I'll do in a minute. But it's this one right here. Number 340, Incredible Hulk. When I saw this sitting on the newsstand or in my comic book shop, I was blown away. And why didn't I think back then to buy 100 copies of this? I should have just begged my mom, can I just buy 100 copies of this book and save them for posterity? I should have at least bought more than one, but I bought the one copy here. But it's classic McFarlane, you know, with the Hulk and everything like that. There's some good covers of Wolverine out there, but this might be the best Wolverine cover ever. You guys let me know in the comments if you agree or not. This is not a high grade copy, which I don't really care. Anyways, it's going on the wall. I don't care if it's a 2.0. I thought it was a 6.5. Unfortunately, this book was read too much. Probably by me, my brother, everybody. But I thought it possibly could get an 8.5. But I'll be extremely ecstatic with anything. I don't even care. I mean, it presents really well. It's got sharp corners. It's got a couple spine ticks that are pretty moderate right there. But yeah, I don't really care. It's going on the wall. Don't really care. It's my childhood book here. So let's see. Oh my God. 9.4. How is that a 9.4? I can't believe that's a 9.4. Let me look at it. You got a moderate tick here. It breaks color breaking here, color breaking here, color break. Very minor here though with the color breaks. Corners are sharp. Corners look good. Spine, I think, is the problem with this book. But the corners are actually really good. I might reassess this one based on what I know now versus then. That back cover actually looks pretty darn good on this book. I don't see tick 1 color break on the back. Yeah, there's one there and one there. Wow. I am so happy. You have no idea how happy. I said I wasn't going to get emotional with this video, but man, you have no idea the feeling that I got when I walked in that comic shop and saw this one sitting there that day, you know? But yeah, that is a place of pride on my wall. It's not a 9.8, but who cares, right? I thought it was an 8.5 at best. So to get 3 levels above that, wow, this made it all worth it right here. If I'm below on everything else, I don't care. And forget everything else I've already looked at. Those are lower end books. This one makes my day right here. I am extremely happy about this 9.4, and I don't know what a 9.4 goes for. I don't really care. I'm never selling it. I bought this in my comic book shop when I was 13 years old. Maybe even 13. I was 13 when this book came out. In fact, my birth month I was probably turning 14 this month. This might be one of the last books I ever bought. Because once I was in high school, man, I didn't do much with it. In fact, I probably didn't buy much from 9th grade on. I got into other things, sports, you know, whatever else. I don't know what the last book I ever bought, but this might very well be in the last 10 books that I bought. In fact, it's very possible that I wasn't even buying books at this point, and I just happened to see this one and picked it up. This is so awesome. Okay, so let's move on. We got a couple more big books here, and then we will be done. All right, so this next one, Amazing Spider-Man 238. I'm a little disappointed to get the green label, but not really. Now, I don't think I bought this one. I don't think I was collecting yet when this one came out. I think I picked this one up in a bin, you know, back in 85, 86, a couple years later. I just knew this would be a big book. First appearance of Hobgoblin, you know, I got, obviously it's a newsstand copy. I didn't know anything about Newsstand Direct back then, but I just liked it. It was never on my radar to save tattoos or whatever. I didn't even know there were tattoos in this book till I moved last year. It never even crossed my mind. I had no idea, so I think they were taken out before I bought the book. Whatever, I don't care. I did try to check for them, and the actual sleeve that holds the tattoos is in there. It's just, I couldn't tell whether they're tattoos, and I didn't want to damage the book, so I just sent it in. And I don't really care that it's qualified grade. I think it'll look great on the wall as a green label. It'll make it stand out, whatever. But yeah, I thought this book was high grade even before I submitted it. So I thought it was a 9.0. And a 9.0 in a newsstand is pretty cool. But I thought it maybe had the outside chance of getting like a 9.6. This is a pretty solid looking book. Or what? At least I thought so at the time. It's got a couple color breaks here. So 9.4, 9.2 I'd be pretty happy with in this book. So let's take a look. 9.6. Wow. So it's qualified. But I am extremely happy about this one and that last book getting a 9.6, even if it qualified. I think these books are still pretty valuable, even with the qualified grade. And I'm not really worried about that. And I don't know, man. It has kind of a little bit of a shadow there on the top spine. Corners all look good. Has a couple color breaking ticks still on it. One there, one there, one there. This probably just squeaked into a 9.6. But I am ecstatic. So my bigger books look like they're, at least so far, are getting the higher grade than I thought. I'm not going to argue with a 9.6 on my wall of this beautiful book. So my last book. I'm going to say this is probably my favorite cover. That Wolverine is pretty high up there. But I bought this one. This one was on the wall at my comic book shop. High grade. And it was there. I saw it there for a couple of weeks. And I was like, man, I want, it was $20, I think, if I remember correctly. And I was like, oh man, I just love this cover. First appearance of the Phoenix. I didn't know anything about whether it was a key. It was an older book, and it was a nice book. People knew about this book. But I just kept seeing it back there on the wall. I was like, can I save my money up? So I probably saved my birthday money, whatever. And this was a big stretch for me, though, to pick up a $20 book back then. But I'm glad I did, because it's definitely one of my favorite books. Covers of all time. It's got to be top 3 favorite covers of all time. It's just, let me look at it. I mean, I probably say that for like 10 books. It's my top 3, but some of them are just so great, equal, that I can't really differentiate. So this was the last book of the set here. So I thought it was an 8.5 before. And the reason, I think there's a little color breaking crease right there on the bottom, just a tiny one. And I think that's holding this book back. And I probably did that damage, so sucks to be me, right? But it looks like a good book. It has a color breaking tick there. One there, one there. So it's not like a 9.8 or 6. But I'm hoping anything 8.5 or higher, I would be ecstatic on this book. So here we go. Last book. 9.2. 9.2. That's exactly what I was hoping to get. 9.2. And I think it's a $1,300 book in a 9.2. And I don't think I would ever even think about resubmitting this book. I think I would just be more than happy, because I know this is probably capping us right here at 9.0 or 2. And I don't think I would want to tempt fate there. I don't think 9.4 is ever be possible with that color breaking crease right there. Without that, and without 2 of these, I think we got a 9.46 here for sure. I think it's a 9.6 book without that, and In fact, it could maybe get a 9.6 without, because this is just one of the nicest copies you'll ever see. And the good thing is that crease is hard. It doesn't really stand out. That is one of the best presenting books you'll ever see right there. Oh, you see that spine? This is like was a pride of my collection for a long time. Still is. So you can see how nice of a book that is. It's pretty flawless, except for those three little flaws, defects. Now, if you just looked at this, and then you just kind of put your thumb there and looked at this, maybe put your thumbs like that, this is a 9.8 looking book right here. So what I'll do now is we'll go on the computer and we'll just briefly, I'm going to go ahead and input all the values of the grades we expected versus the grades we actually came back. Now I'm going to look up the Go Collect values on everything, because, you know, I'll put in what I spent on these books, and then we'll see how we did. I mean, I'm going to keep a lot of these, but I'll sell a few, and we'll see what kind of profit we could make if we were to sell the whole batch. But you couldn't pry these from my cold dead fingers right here, these last 3 that I did. These are never going anywhere. I don't care if they turn into $1 million books. I ain't selling. I'm keeping these suckers. My kids will end up with these one day, and I'll make sure that they know to take care of these books after I'm gone. And please don't sell them. Give them to a grandson, somebody that's into comics, please. So yeah, so I'll just hold up my 3 favorite books from this submission right now, and these are the type of books that just make me happy. And this is the type of books that made me happy when I bought them. You know, this one off the stand by itself, this one out of a bin, and that one off the wall at a comic book shop. And man, this is what makes collecting great, you know, in my opinion. Just the nostalgia and the feeling you get, or it makes me feel like a kid when I walk in this room. I feel like I'm a 12-year-old kid again whenever I look at these books, and that's kind of what collecting is all about, right? So now let's switch to the computer. I'll input all of these values, and we'll take a look at how we did. And you know, I spent 75 cents. That's what I paid for that one, plus tax. So 80 cents, I got that book. This one, a couple bucks. This one, I'm pretty sure 20 bucks. It could have been 30, but I think 20 bucks is what I paid for that. I don't think I would have bought a book for more than 20 bucks back then. I don't think my parents would have let me. So pretty confident in that one. So very, very happy. I mean, there were some questionable ones in there. That 5.0 is funny, but for the most part, I am overjoyed that I got above what I expected on 2 of my 3 top books. Very, very amazing. So let me switch over to the computer now and we'll continue on. All right, so here we go. These are the books that came back in this submission. I actually forgot there are 3 books that did not come back, I guess because they were 1972 or before. Those will take longer, I guess. It's Amazing Spider-Man 107, 108, and Iron Man Number 2. Those are some of the more valuable books in the submission, so we'll just have to do an addendum, add on those 3 when those come back in. But these are the books that I just went over and revealed the grades on. So just real quick, I mean, we don't have to go through each one. Our overall average expected grade was 9.5, and our overall actual grade came in at 9.2. So we were 0.3 off on my grading. I was a little bit low. Now that includes that 5.0. Let me take that out of the sample, and so it doesn't skew our results here. So actually, let me fix this here. It's now only 31 books being calculated, not 32. So let's fix that. Okay, so we actually are only 0.1 off on the 31 other books. So, and I did the calculations here. We actually were lower on 18 books than we expected, higher on 3 only. We only actually came in higher on 3. But I did have a bunch of 9.8s that I thought it could get. And I didn't really have them as expectations on this. It was more like outside chance on some of these. Like I thought there was like maybe a 20% chance. But I went ahead and noted it as I thought there was a chance of a 9.8. I didn't actually expect. I actually went up 3 times, and I actually went up on a very key book. It was an Incredible Hulk 340. I expected 8.5, and you can see it behind me right there. I expected an 8.5 cap on that. I was just hoping for an 8.5. I was going to be happy with a 7.5 or 8. But to come in at a 9.4, man, that was just huge for me. So I would take away all the 9.8s that I got in this submission just to get that grade so high on that Incredible Hulk 340. And then our overall current value of the books, based on what Go Collect is saying and the grades that I got, was $6,000 for the entire 31 comics. That was my pressing and cleaning cost for these books, including shipping costs of $384. CGC. I was kind of ignorant on this. When they sent me back the books, they also sent me a bill for insurance on these books. I actually didn't know about that. I thought it was built into the price. I'm still not 100% sure on that. I'll have to check that, but I thought everything was built into the price, but I mean, that's just ignorance on my part. So they hit me with an $800 bill. I'm gonna have to call them probably tomorrow and just clarify and pay it. I mean, if it's due, it's due. So yeah, overall, I'm very, very happy with this submission and how it came out. Exceptionally happy. Oh, last thing. Those two books, and also up here above, you can't see it here, Amazing Spider-Man 238. The happy ending I was talking about earlier in this video. And that was also, I think, X-Men 221. I sold a bunch of books back in 2008 or 9 because we needed the money at that time. And fortunately, a few copies had been pulled out and set aside that I didn't know about and just put in an obscure box. And I just found them during this move, and those were in that box. I don't even know how much are these comics worth. I mean, $3,000. So there was $3,000 of comics just sitting in this box that could have just been donated or thrown out or something. It was not in with my other comics. It was in the garage, just piled on with a bunch of maybe stuff from maybe high school or something. And somebody had just stuffed them in there at some point after. But anyways, the good news, the happy ending was they weren't sold in 2008, because I certainly would have sold those books for the money back in 2008 or 9. So very happy that either my brother was staying with us for a while and he read them and stuffed them in there. I don't think I did it. But anyways, I owe him, because I think he saved me a couple grand at least that I would have. Those books aren't worth near as much back then. 12 years ago, I'd have to look up the values. So yeah, extremely happy that I was able to keep those in the collections. But we still got 3 books coming. Iron Man 2, which I thought could be a 9.0, which isn't a huge value book, but maybe about $400 if I'm lucky. And Amazing Spider-Man 107, 108, which I think could be a 9.4 or 9.6, and those are pretty valuable comics. One's worth about maybe $300 at that grade, and $500 to $600 on the other one. So I still got about $1,000 worth of books coming in. So we'll do a separate little video for those. So overall, that was a very fun time for me. Today was a good day. I'm very happy. That was a lot of fun. Just revealing those grades and seeing them come through like that, along with you guys. That was a blast. I'm looking forward. I've got 2 other submissions in right now. I don't think they're going to be as exciting as this one, because it's always your first time is your best time, right, or whatever. I'm sure I'll enjoy them. That was a lot of fun. We'll do more of these as I submit books. I also got a Silver Age submission coming up that I'm going to do, but I'm finding out one thing based on all these fees is I need to only be submitting high dollar, high value books, unless there's some kind of sentimental attachment. If I can't, I don't think I'm going to be submitting low value books, because it's just not cost effective. Unless I just want them on my wall for whatever reason and I'm never selling them, I'm not going to try and make money on low value books. If it's not a $500, $300 or $400, $500 plus book potentially after a clean and press, I'm just not going to fool with it. I mean, it's just not worth it, right? So if I do any kind of investing in this going forward, which I don't plan on necessarily doing a whole bunch, but I might just do it for fun for the channel, I'm going to look for more mid to high grade, high value books. And we'll cross that bridge when we get there, though. So let me know in the comments what you thought. Do you have any submissions lately? Are the grades coming in as you expected? Do you think there's a problem? Have you had problems with pressers before? Or are they not getting out what they claim they can get out? So I'd be interested in hearing what your experience was. I just had to grab these last 2 books from my submission, my favorite 2 books from the submission. So these 2 made it all worth it. So thanks for watching, and happy collecting.